All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling a concept that's going to seriously mess with how you think about building worlds. It's called ontosyntax. And trust me, this is way more than just another design manual. It's a blueprint for building realities where philosophy itself is the law of physics. Let's get into it.
So let me just start by throwing a question at you, a real mind bender. What if reality wasn't made of atoms at all? What if it was made of ideas? Just imagine, for a second, a universe where belief and logic and just sheer agreement were the fundamental forces, the actual nuts and bolts of existence.
Well, that's exactly the kind of reality we're exploring in a world called Athelgard. In this place, you can just forget about atomic physics. It's all about what this design manual calls a logos-driven reality. And for any of you creators out there, think about what that means. Your world's stability, it has nothing to do with geology. It's all about psychology. So let's break that down.
Okay, so in a universe like this, philosophical principles, they are the physical laws. Conflict? It's not just about who's stronger. No, it's a battle for, get this, ontological dominance. It's literally a war over whose version of reality gets to be the reality. In Athelgard, ideas aren't just powerful. They have mass. They have energy. They have a will to exist.
And this is where my mind was just blown. The physical stability of this place is tied directly to how coherent the main logic is. It's the collective thought, the zeitgeist you could call it, that's literally holding the world together. So if an entire society loses faith in, say, a giant corporate tower, that tower can literally dissolve. It just, poof, turns into a mist of forgotten ideas.
I mean, this one quote just sums it all up perfectly. In Athelgard, down is an agreement. Just let that sink in for a moment. Gravity isn't some fundamental force of nature. It's a social contract. If enough people decide they don't believe in down anymore, well, things just stop falling. As a designer, can you even imagine the possibilities? Your social mechanics could literally move mountains.
So check out how this completely flips the script on physics. Gravity? That's just consensus now. Motion? Forget physics, it's about syntax. You can literally delete the word motion from an arrow and it just stops, dead in the air. Need to get through a wall? Don't break it down, just sever its connection to the idea of solidity, and you can walk right through. And this last one is the real kicker. The world you experience is basically just a shadow of the real idea behind it, the source code.
Okay, so if the world is built on rules like these, how in the world do you operate in it? How do you fight? Well, you don't use magic. That's too simple. You wield what's called a philosophical arsenal. These are basically cognitive tools that let you rewrite the laws of reality right there in the moment.
First up, there's something called the Fichtean grip. It's all based on this philosophical idea of the I versus the not I, basically me versus everything that isn't me. You touch an object, assert, I am I, and bam, you just recategorize that object as part of yourself. So you want to move a 50-ton monolith? No problem. It's as easy as lifting your own arm. Because from a reality-bending perspective, it is your arm.
And then there's this wild weapon, the schizocane. It's literally the Hegelian dialectic brought to life. It's a three-step dance. First, you've got the thesis, the handle, which creates and stabilizes things. Think of it as pure order. Then you've got the antithesis, the blade, which does the opposite. It annihilates matter and force. That's your chaos. But the real magic happens when you strike the cane on the ground. You get the synthesis, a massive shockwave that doesn't just destroy, it resolves the whole conflict by transforming everything it hits into something new.
Now hidden inside that cane is something even cooler, the Kantian edge. And this is a game changer. It's a blade that doesn't cut atoms, it cuts concepts. It severs the idea of an object from its physical body. So you're facing an armored knight? Forget trying to stab through his armor, you just sever his connection to the very idea of impenetrability. His armor is still there, but it's completely useless. It's basically ontological sabotage. But of course, you can't just go around rewriting the fundamental laws of reality without consequences, right? The universe, it pushes back. And we're not talking about your average villains here. The manual calls them the counter-logic. The best way to think of them is like the world's immune system, and it's fighting you, the infection, to keep things the way they are.
And this is such a key difference. Forget villains motivated by greed or power. We're talking about antibodies of existence. These things are cosmic immune responses. They show up when someone gets too big for their britches and starts trying to rewrite the rules. You can't just punch these things. You have to outthink them, outmaneuver their very logic. So for example, you might run into the pale cynic. This guy projects an aura of pessimism. It's literally weaponized despair. It gets inside your head and makes you question why you're even fighting. It drains your will to act by showing you how futile it all is. And it can even lead to something called combat catatonia, where you literally just give up. You stop fighting and accept defeat because you're absolutely convinced that struggle is pointless.
So we've talked about wielding ideas as weapons. Pretty cool, right? But what if you could take it a step further? What if you could actually hack the source code of being itself? Well, that's what we're getting into next, rewriting reality using nothing but language.
You know, the philosopher Heidegger had this famous line, "Language is the house of being." In Ethelgard, that's not some lofty, abstract metaphor. It's the literal truth. Language doesn't just describe reality here, it prescribes it. It is the source code. And this is how you get your hands dirty. Take a look at these Futhark runes. These are not just ancient symbols, okay? These are direct reality edits. Command line prompts for the universe. The Thurisaz rune? It shatters any barrier simply by asserting that the barrier doesn't exist. The Isa rune? It deletes the concept of motion. Yeah, you can stop bullets in midair. It's exactly like having admin access to reality.
And what's the ultimate override? The final cheat code that lets you tap into Nietzsche's will to power and become, well, an Übermensch? It's a single word, Kumota. You say that word and you literally reboot yourself into a higher state of being.
But all this power, it has to come at a price, right? What is the psychological toll of becoming a god? This, for me, is where the narrative stakes get absolutely fascinating.
The single biggest danger is something they call solipsism syndrome. See, if you absorb too much of the not I, too much of the outside world into your own identity, you start to lose the line between you and everything else. You become everything, which paradoxically means you become nothing, just a frozen, isolated god, completely lost and trapped in your own mind.
And really, this all boils down to a central choice for anyone playing in the sandbox. It's called the parable of the two mirrors. Are you going to be a De Ville, someone who uses this immense power as a bridge to create order and stability? Or are you going to go the way of Wotan, the mad rune king, who literally shattered reality just so he could build a throne out of the pieces? So in the end, the manual leaves us with this one final haunting question. It's the ultimate dilemma for anyone who dares to grab this kind of power. To build a new reality, do you have to first shatter yourself? That's a heavy one, and definitely something to think about.